Welcome into the High Noon Rant with me, Pugs Moran. We do this every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. I just called it the High Noon Rant again. Can't do that. Gotta stop doing it. It's the rant. It's just the rant. That's how I'm labeling it. I've been so good. And then here we are at the start of a brand new week. I screw up and I call it the old name. Welcome to the rant, ladies and gentlemen. It is daily expedition into all the information that is worthwhile for you to know. That's what I do. I wake up early and I go through all the headlines, hot topics, current events, trends, whatever it is that people are talking about today. Compile a list, put it together, and then I perform it for you every day around this time in a rant form. It is executed using a stream of consciousness, which allows for no filter, no governor, no nothing, just whatever thought is next in my head within the genre of current events is what comes out. Show lasts about 2 hours. At the end of it, I hope that there's not enough light. Isn't that? This is, by the way, part of the stream of consciousness. See how I've just been distracted? Now we're going to talk about the lighting issues. I was watching some older videos. I can't get good lighting on me. Here's why. Because the lighting that makes everything look good, that lighting hurts my eyes. that lighting gives me a headache. All right, whatever. We'll keep it here. We'll see how long we can do this until I get a headache. Okay, so it's a current events rundown every day at noon. It's talk radio the way talk radio should sound, not politically filtered with either, a right slant or a left slant. I'm one of those guys who doesn't give a fuck about either of that shit. We think both those groups are idiots. Not idiots. Come on, respect. I know a lot of people fall into those groups. My point is this. I see one party being led by a shady dude, and I see the other party being led by a sarcophagus. I don't know what. It's for me, it's like shady versus incompetence. That's what I'm looking at. And I don't really have what's the devil's choice there? Move. That's the only response to that. So we talk about current events in a different kind of way, that typically isn't, allowed, at least not in radio. So we do it here. We've been doing it every day for 3 years now, every day, Monday through Friday. The stream of consciousness rant on all the day's subjects. And I appreciate you guys helping out. Let's say hi to the chat room. The chat room is a fun place. Chat room and the shows. This is a terrible week. First of all, thank you guys. Look at all you guys hanging out in the chat room today. I honestly thought I was going to come into the chat room on what is supposed to be Pledge Week. This is the week that's going to kill the show. I promise you that. This because it's been bad the last couple of months when it gets to Pledge Week, and we should be starting Pledge Week today, but we're going to start it tomorrow because I just don't have the heart to do it. More on that later. But this is going to be the Pledge Week that kills the show. I have that feeling, but hey, man, you know what? Be the happy warrior. Let's just move forward. I'll have more information on Pledge Week tomorrow when I do the sad math and realize just how small a number it is that could keep the show alive, but will not. Just the fact that it's you guys have been awesome. You guys have kept it alive, but you guys can't do this forever. We need to grow, and we're not growing. So here we sit. Point is this. We're going to do shows this week. We're probably not going to do a show on Thursday, obviously. I mean, it's 4th of July. Maybe a 4th of July rap show. Maybe something special like that on Thursday. That might be fun. Maybe me and my kid, after a day at the lake, we'll do a 4th of July wrap-up show. If we're home. Who knows? No, we won't be, because it's fireworks on 4th of July, right? Yeah, you got to go out in the lake. We're going to be out on the lake all day. As bad as life can be, life can also be good, can it? See? So 4th of July, probably no show. We'll do a show Friday. It's just everybody's on vacation. That's the thing. I'm looking at the chat room. I'm like, everybody's on vacation. I'm already talking to somebody who's a regular in the chat room. Was texting with them earlier today. They're on vacation, so they're not listening. Anyway, we don't care because we're good-natured individuals. I got my boy with me here this week. Picked him up yesterday. He went on vacation with his mom. Had an awesome time, and now he's back. So he's with me. He's gonna be with me all week. I'm gonna send him back home on Friday. He can be with me all week, and then he's gonna go home on Friday because his Uncle Patrick, who is his favorite uncle, and I can say that because he's his only uncle, is coming to town. And so they're going to a baseball game. So that's cool. That's cool. Yeah. You can go back on Friday. So we're good. He's having a good summer. We got a lot of stuff to do today after the show. So let's get started. Okay. What do you say? That's what's going on in my world. The stream of consciousness has been a little bit bumpy. I feel a little bit weird, if I'm being honest with you. You guys know how this works. I treat you like you're my therapist. This is a little bit weird. My kid is downstairs. He's downstairs, and I don't know. I feel a little bit odd. Not like he's a problem. I love that he's downstairs, but it's just, I don't know. And we used to do the show over at the old Comfort Nest Studios, and he was there. It was different because he was almost always either in the other house or he was, in the yard or outside, whatever. But it's just, I don't know. I don't need to hear him. He's going to be like a floor below us. And he's just going to hear his old man yelling in a bedroom into a internet cam. That's weird. I don't know. It makes me feel odd. All right, let's get on to it. So as we say, this show does run on your gratuities, your tips, your kindnesses. I'll direct your attention to the bottom of the screen. If at any point during today's stream you are so moved to drop a little something, want to treat me like your bartender, your pizza delivery guy, hell, your Uber driver, I don't care, whatever it is, a guy who gets you somewhere. That's what I'm doing. I'm getting you through your day if you so choose. Drop a little something if you can. That would be greatly appreciated. Every day we like to reward the person who tips the best the previous day. That award is going to, ladies and gentlemen, our executive producer, Mike D. Mike D, thank you, Mike. Also, thank you to Byron. Byron dropping a little something. It's always nice to see. Thank you, Byron. I think Leslie also dropped something over the weekend. The weekend tippers, they always get screwed. They always kind of get a little bit screwed because it's, if you tip on Friday night or something like that. I always feel bad because I'm like, I don't get the love the next day exactly like the other people. But we're going to give Mike D the love today. Mike D, our executive producer. Thank you, buddy. If you want to be tomorrow's executive producer, you can drop a little something there. Okay, that's all we're going to say about it because honestly, the prospects are so depressing that I don't really want to push, and that is a self-fulfilling prophecy of destruction. Thank you. I have to push in order to have any sense of hope for the show. Don't want to push because tired of that self-fulfilling prophecy. See? I am self-defeating. Dog's not here either. That's weird. Usually the dog is with me. The dog is with the boy because the dog is a whore. The dog will go with whoever has the highest possibility of eating next. That's how the dog, I think, sizes this up. Because when we started the stream, I came in here and the boy went downstairs. The dog knows what I'm doing in here. I'm going to sit and I'm going to scream into the camera. He doesn't know what that is. All he sees is me sitting in a chair, the dog, every day screaming. He just knows I ain't getting up to get food in the next 2 hours. The kid, though, the kid's a wild card. He's downstairs. He's 15 and he's big and he's just going to eat nonstop. So I think that's the decision the dog made. The dog's like, that dude eats way more than you. I'm hanging out with him. I'm hanging out with that kid who's always eating. How are you? Hey, Cam. Cam's here. Smeen's here. Barney's here. Peter's here. Hold on, let me make the chat bigger so I can see more names. We say hi to Barney. We said hi to Barney. All right. Who's first in today? Peter was first in today. Hey. All right. Guess what I started watching over the weekend? I don't see him in the chat room because he's probably on vacation as well because everybody's on vacation now. This is the first time in radio history. Usually with radio shows, the shows go on vacation and they never come back. And the audience is left wondering what happened. They went on vacation and never went back. In this show's case, it's going to be the audience who goes on vacation. And then the show ends. All right, not going to obsess on that. Because we got big, cool things happening. Got a big, cool thing happening this afternoon I'm very excited about. I'll have more information on that. But let's stop the nonsense. Okay, let's get in with the show. It is the Rant. See, I almost did it. I almost said the old title. It is the Rant with me, Pugs Moran, for the first day of July, year of our Lord 2024. July 1st is the 182nd day of the year. 183 remaining. No, actually, it turns. Wait a second. Hold on. It's a leap year. We've got leap year math going on, ladies and gentlemen. Hold that. July 1st is the 183rd. July 1st is the 182nd day of the year. 183 in leap years. So this is a leap year. So it's a leap year. So it's the 183rd day of the year. Guys, what that means is today's Rubicon Day. Today's the day we crossed the Rubicon for 2024. We are 183 days in. We have 183 days remaining until New Year's. There you go. We are at the midway point of 2024. What'd you do? What'd you do? Anything? I mean, we know you didn't fulfill your New Year's resolutions. Nobody does that. But what about larger than that, I should say? How's the year been? It's been good. You're at the halfway point. You can turn it around. You can turn it around. Show is performed in 4 quarters. I like to lay them out for you. This rant, this stream of consciousness, I do it in my head broken down into 4 blocks. First quarter, we do a thing called antecedently on this day. That's this day in history. Quarter 2 is birthdays. You know what that is. Quarter 3 is deads, people who died on this day. We open up their life's resume and decide where they go, heaven or hell. Quarter 4 is all the hot topics, current events, and headlines that are affecting this particular day, this episode of July the 1st, 2024. So let's get started. Quarter 1 is how we start. We call it antecedently on this day. Antecedently on this day, year of our Lord, 1766, Francois Jean de la Barre. Whew, fancy name. Francois Jean de la Barre, a young French nobleman. Oh my God, so you know that he was insufferable. A young French nobleman named Francois Jean de la Barre. Let's see. A young French nobleman. He's tortured and beheaded before his body is burnt on a pyre, along with a copy of Voltaire's Dictionary of Philosophy nailed to his torso. Oh, here come the hiccups. We're going to work through this. Hiccups. Sometimes they affect the show. Sometimes they just hit me. Well, it's because of the way I do this show. Talking. You know, that's going to happen. You disrupt the flow. Okay, so what we have to do is we just have to push through it. So let's get started again. Here we go. On this day, Francois Jean La Barre, a young French nobleman, is tortured and beheaded, before his body is burnt at the pyre, along with a copy of Voltaire's Dictionnaire philosophique, the Dictionary of Philosophy, is nailed to his torso. All right, so this is what they did to him. A young French nobleman. So this is somebody who probably had connections. This wasn't just some peasant who we can torture for fun. This was somebody of note. He's got it. I mean, it made the history. So he's an important person. He is tortured and beheaded. His body is burnt on a pyre, and then a copy of Voltaire's Dictionary of Philosophy is nailed to his torso. What did he do in 1766? He failed to salute a Roman Catholic procession. This was an important person. What the? This is religion? This is how people of that time. So if you didn't show the proper amount of respect for a procession of religious figures as they walk by, if you didn't salute them, well, just so you know, the punishment back then was to be tortured, beheaded, burned at the pyre, and to have Voltaire's Dictionary of Philosophy nailed to your torso. Nah. Look, man, religion, I believe, was created as a way to, set in place some laws for humanity so that we didn't do things like torture, behead, burn at the pyre, and then nail a copy of Voltaire's Philosophy Dictionary to the torso. See, I thought religion's whole point was to stop us from doing that shit, that kind of shit that I think is very natural to humanity. I think we're terrible, horrible people. who are only interested in our own self-interests. It takes things like faith and religion and morals and principle and structure in life to evolve past that, to evolve past those horrible natural inclinations of humanity. And that's what I always thought religion was for. I didn't realize that, once religion was established, like it was in 1766, that it would then get that perverted. But there you have it. That's why I don't like organized religion. Antecedently on this day in 1863, the American Civil War, the Battle of Gettysburg, begins. That's a big one. Antecedently on this day in 1898, the Spanish-American War, the Battle of San Juan Hill. That's a big one. That wasn't a real war. It was like one of those fake wars, the Spanish-American War. It's one of them wars that were between the big wars that we never learned about in school. So consequently, entire generations grow up going, yeah, I heard of it, but I don't know anything about it. San Juan Hill, this is the charge of the Light Brigade, right? The famous Teddy Roosevelt and the Rough Riders going up San Juan Hill there in Cuba. Got him elected president. Holy cow, he became a national hero because of that. That was on this day. Same day as Gettysburg. Isn't that weird? Gettysburg and San Juan Hill are the same day. Antecedently on this day, what year now? Antecedently on this day in 1903, started the first Tour de France bicycle race. Okay. Nobody cares about that. Nobody. A couple. Okay. So a couple. Okay. There's not Monday Night Bike Racing on ABC. It's not, nobody cares about this. The reason the Tour de France is even something that we know here in America is because there used to be a time when there was like 3 dudes, 3 networks who decided everything we were going to know about sports related. And I don't know, for some reason, somebody in America in the 1970s or whatever started talking about somebody at NBC Sports or something. I don't know, all of a sudden bike racing. There is no reason that bike racing should have ever been on television. There's no reason that we should have ever considered a Lance Armstrong or a Greg LeMond. We shouldn't know who these people are. These people ride bikes. You know who else rides bikes? Every kid in America. Bike racing became a thing. Are you kidding me? Bike racing. That was forced down our throats. And we all just accepted it as, no, this is important. That's an important bike race. On this day, antecedently, in the year 1908, SOS is adopted as the international distress signal. What does that mean? It doesn't mean save our souls, right? That's not what it means. I always thought that's what it means, but that seems way too folksy. That seems way too like something somebody said once, and then everybody just repeated it. I don't know. I don't even think we need SOS anymore. I mean, if I was in danger in the high seas, I'd just make a Facebook post. Somebody come save me. Yeah, something like that. Antecedently on this day in 1931, American Airlines begins service. It was originally called Boeing Air Transport. I'm going to say something that goes against my very nature, the blood in my bones. United Airlines, you guys suck. I hate United Airlines. And I say that goes against me because United Airlines is the hometown airline of, my hometown of Chicago. It's like, Dallas here has American, Chicago has a United. I hate United. They're the worst. I hate them. They're expensive. The planes are clean, though. I'll give you this. You know what? United planes are clean, especially when you're a Southwest guy like me. Like, I prefer Southwest just because it's easy. But the planes seem a little bit sketchier than, United Airline planes. You get into a United Airline plane, you're like, all right, friendly skies. Anyway, on this day, 1931, United Airlines begins service. On this day, antecedently in the year 1963, zip codes are introduced for the very first time here in the United States. Never really thought about that. Never really thought about when zip codes came around, but there you have them. Antecedently on this day in 1972, the first gay pride parade is held in England. What? England? After this whole thing started, I thought this was an American thing. I just assumed. I don't know. By the way, guys, did you notice how effortlessly we defeated today's bout of hiccups? Oh, we all deserve a round for that one. Good job, people. Antecedently on this day in the year 1717, antecedently on this day in 1979, Sony introduces the Walkman. Oh, wow. Yeah, the Walkman. That was That was better. It was better. You know why? Because a cornerstone of the 80s was music. Wait, what year was this? What year is it? 79. Okay, so they introduced it. So it didn't really take off until the early 80s. But back then, when you wanted to go out, if you were with your friends and maybe you were shooting hoops at the park or whatever, just walking around, you want a little bit of music in your life, you had to have a comically large portable stereo system. They were called boom boxes, and everybody had them. Everybody had them. I had multiple boom boxes. You just carried them around. You lugged them around. It was like lugging around a piece of equipment everywhere. It was stupid. It was dumb, but we did it in the 80s. And it became sort of a staple of 80s culture, the boom box. Then Sony introduced a whole new thing. This is great. Parents had to have something to do with this, right? This had to have been, parents are going to get you a Walkman because they're tired of your boom box. Because everybody has to listen to the boom box. Not everybody has to listen to the Walkman. There you go. On this day in 1979, the Walkman is introduced. What did the Walkman have? Walkman had about, a 10-year run? If it was introduced in 79, when did the Discman come in? Because do you consider the Walkman and the Discman the sid thing? I mean, they're two obviously different things, but the same company. And they're just like an update of, like a Discman is just an updated Walkman. What did they have? What happened there? What did the Napster? What killed it? I guess the same thing that killed cassette tapes and CDs in general. Antecedently on this day in 1980, "O Canada" officially becomes the national anthem of Canada. This was weird to me. 1980? Canada didn't have an official national anthem till 1980? I mean, I seem to remember, didn't they sing "O Canada" and Slapshot? That was made in the 70s. I know on SCTV, which was in the late 70s, they did a hockey parody and they sang "O Canada." I mean, I think I was maybe officially is the thing. On this day in 1980, "O Canada" officially becomes the national anthem. Maybe it had been unofficially. I don't know. Antecedently on this day in 1987, the American radio station WFAN changed the world. WFAN New York City is launched, becoming the world's first all-sports talk radio station. WFAN. Mark Chernoff and the boys out there doing it up right. Set the pace for every other sports radio station in America. I have a sports radio station that is my favorite to listen to. That is The Score in Chicago. And I'm biased because that's a sports radio station that focuses on all the teams that I'm interested in. So I'm biased. And my best and oldest friend in radio runs that station. So I am biased. But that's my favorite one, The Score in Chicago. The Ticket here in Dallas, I think, is doing sports radio the best of anybody in the nation, right? I think that they have the best talent. I think The Ticket has the most creative view of how sports radio can be performed. You look at just here in the marketplace, just look at the Fan is how sports radio is everywhere else. And then The Ticket. So compare the Fan and the Ticket. So I think The Ticket is probably the best, doing sports radio the best, in my opinion. But the Fan, formed on this day in 1987, man, I still listen to the Fan all the time. YouTube, I watch it a lot. It's a great station. It's like the sports radio station in America, WFAN New York. That's the big one. Anyway, happy birthday, Fan. You're a cool station. Antecedently on this day in 1991, the Cold War. This was huge. And, we probably didn't even notice it back then. But no, we did, because I remember this moment. It was on this day in 1991, the Warsaw Pact is officially dissolved at a meeting in Prague. That's it. That's where we won the Cold War. That's it. One side had NATO, and the other side had the Warsaw Pact. And in 1991, on this day, the Warsaw Pact, the Iron Curtain, the Soviet bloc, was officially dissolved in Prague on this day in 1991, the official ending of the Cold War. On this day, antecedently in the year 2002, the International Criminal Court is established to prosecute individuals for genocide, crimes against humanity, and war crimes. I did not realize this, that 2002, I had always thought that the International Criminal Court was, I guess I thought the International Criminal Court was the same thing as The Hague. And we already had The Hague before 2002. We had the Nuremberg trials. We already had some. I guess I just assumed that the International Criminal Court probably date back to, like, Hitler and all that, but no. 2002. International Criminal Court, of course, making big news recently by issuing warrants for Benji Netanyahu. The chief prosecutor of the International Criminal Court is, of course, George Clooney's wife, Amal Clooney. She's too good for him. She's hot, smart, super well respected, serious, but she's got a great sense of humor over cocktails. She seems wonderful. There's something sexy about that lady. All right, moving on. That's going to do it. Those are quarter one in the books, antecedently on this day. Let's move on to the birthday segment. These are people born on this day in 1950. The great Willie Dixon. Willie Dixon, blues man. American blues singer, songwriter, bass player. He's one of the cornerstones of Chicago blues. Willie Dixon, Muddy Waters, Howlin' Wolf, Lil Jr., people like that. Willie Dixon, born on this day in 1915. Nobody cares about the blues, and when I talk about them, I just sound pretentious. Antecedently on this day in 1923, Scotty Bowers is born. Scotty Bowers. You know what this dude is? This is that dude that freaked me out. Remember, like a year or so ago, I was talking about this. I was just watching. I'm looking for documentaries to watch on Amazon Prime, and I find this documentary. Scotty Bowers. It's his life story. This guy was born today. And I don't know why, but I clicked on it. And this is that documentary about the dude in the 1950s who ran the service station on Sunset Boulevard that catered to down-low gay actors. Yeah, you ever seen that documentary on Prime? It's the Scotty Bowers story. He was born on this day in 1923. There was hope because you couldn't be gay in Hollywood, but there were a lot of gay people in Hollywood. So there was like a gas station, like at Sunset and Vine or something. And gay Hollywood actors would pull into the gas station. And like back then, they didn't have self-service. So like a gas jockey would come out and the gay Hollywood actor would pull into the gas station, and the gay serviceman, or wasn't even gay. That's part of the whole thing about it. A lot of these dudes were just gay for pay. They were like hungry and they're like, I moved out here trying to be an actor and nobody will hire me. So now I got to go have sex with William Bendix. But that's what it was. The gay actor would drive into Scotty Bowers gas station, and a young man would run out. Can I fill you up? And he'd be like, yeah. And there was like a code word. And if the code word was said, the dude would get in the car and they'd drive off. Scotty Bowers, born on this day in 1923. Crazy, crazy Hollywood stories from back in the day. Born on this day in 1934, Jamie Farr. He was Klinger on MASH. He was hysterical because you had to be crazy to be a man wanting to wear a woman's dress. And that was the whole premise of the Klinger character. The whole premise for about 15 years of MASH was, let's see how much fun we can make. Let's see how much we can humiliate the trans person. Although here's the thing. Remember, Klinger wasn't really trans. They had to have that because you wanted people in the 1970s to like the character. And if the character was truly committed to this transition, that wouldn't fly. So the idea was that he was, just trying to get out of the military. And a good way to get out of the military is to have them think you're trans. Except everybody looked at him and went, nah, we're not buying it. And so he was forced to wear dresses. Klinger was a funny character, complicated by today's lens. I don't care. You know me. I'm not offendable. Happy birthday, Jamie Farr, Corporal Klinger from MASH. Born on this day in 1934, film director Sidney Pollack. He made movies like The Way We Were and Tootsie, and I'm trying to think if there's anything else. He did a bunch of movies. He made a bunch of big movies. But of course, I know him best as Will's dad from Will and Grace. Sidney Pollack, he played Will's dad on Will and Grace. Born on this day in 1934, born on this day in 1935, David Prowse, English actor. He is, of course, Darth Vader. He's the dude who played Darth Vader. I know James Earl Jones voiced it, but that meant James Earl Jones had to get in his car, drive to a recording studio and say, I am your father. That's all he had to do. David Prowse was in the suit. He was on the set. He was doing all that stuff. Happy birthday, David Prowse. You can't hear me because you're dead, but David Prowse. Born on this day in 1935. Born on this day in 1945, Debbie Harry. Debbie Harry of Blondie. We like her. We sure do. Born on this day in 1952, I'd like all of you to pick up your pens. If you got the email in the morning, you know that you were asked to have a blank sheet of paper in front of you. So I'd like you all to now spell the name of today's birthday boy, Dan Aykroyd. You have 10 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Without looking it up, spell the name of Dan Aykroyd. You can't do it, is my point. Dan Aykroyd's last name, every time I look at his last name, I'm like, I could never spell that. I would never get that right. Happy birthday, Dan Aykroyd. His last name is spelled A-Y-K. A-Y-K, that's Ack. A-Y-K, Royd, R-O-Y-D. Okay, when you look at it like that, it's kind of easy to remember. A-Y-K Royd. A-Y-K Royd. Okay, I can now spell Dan Aykroyd. Look at me. We worked through it together, and I'm a better person for it. Dan Aykroyd was great. That's all I got to say about him. He's great. Born on this day in 1952. Born on this day in 1956. Here's another guy who's great. Alan Ruck. Had no idea Alan Ruck was this old. If someone had asked me, how old is Alan Ruck? I'd say, I don't know. He's like my age, maybe a couple of years older. Alan Ruck, of course, played Cameron in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. He was like 30. He was like 30 when he played Cameron. Of course, he would go on Spin City. Alan Ruck's fantastic in Spin City. But now, well, not now, he just finished his run, an incredibly cool character on Succession. He was on the HBO smash show Succession as one of the Dauphin sons of the billionaire who was looking to blow all of his father's hard-earned money. Anyway, Alan Ruck is pretty great. He was born on this day in 1956. It's like he's 68. He's almost 70. Alan Ruck, get out of here. Born on this day in 1967. That's more like it. This is a person who is about the age I think she is. Born on this day in 1967, Pam Anderson. Born on this day in 1971, Missy Elliott. Born on this day in 1977, Liv Tyler. Okay. Liv Tyler has that weird, screwed up. I think her mom is her mom BB Newell, BB. Her mom, Liv Tyler's mom. Remember Liv Tyler from all those Aerosmith videos? Steven Tyler's daughter? Yeah, not so fast. Okay, that's what I mean. That's what I'm talking about here. So yeah, Steven Tyler's daughter. She was in Aerosmith videos with Alicia Silverstone. She was smoking hot. She first came to our attention when, she was dabbling in the whole, barely legal sexuality thing. That was her whole thing, right? She was the girl who always showed up in the little schoolgirl outfit. Anyway, she's a fine actress. Liv Tyler's great. I really do. I like Liv Tyler. But here's what we know about Liv Tyler. When she burst on the scene, it was, she's Steven Tyler of Aerosmith's daughter. And we're all like, oh, cool. But then the story unraveled. And the story was like really sick. And Steven Tyler's such an asshole. And, she's lucky. She's lucky that she allows him to now go around bragging about my daughter, Liv Tyler. He doesn't deserve that. Liv Tyler's mother, I think it's BB Newell or something, was like a groupie. She was like one of these hot chicks who was famous for hanging out and partying with 70s bands. Famous for being famous. That's it. She went from band to band. She apparently got knocked up by Steven Tyler while she was in a relationship with Todd Rundgren. Okay. Now, her and Todd Rundgren's relationship became a real relationship, and they got married and all that kind of stuff. And that baby was born, and Steven Tyler was a junkie. This is back in what year? What year was she born? 77. Yeah. Steven Tyler in 1977, man. That's when him and Joe Perry were the toxic twins. That's when he was not around for the baby. You know who was? Todd Rundgren. Todd Rundgren raised Liv Tyler as his daughter. Todd Rundgren is who, if you were to ask Liz Tyler, who's your daddy? She would go, Todd Rundgren. It wasn't Steven Tyler. Steven Tyler showed back on the scene when she became famous. And she became famous. It was like, But, that is her legal name. Tyler is her legal name because he was named on the birth certificate as the father. He just went off and did drugs for, 18 years of her life before he came back on the scene. Happy birthday, Liv Tyler. All right, that's going to do it for birthdays. Let's move on to quarter three. These are dead people dead on this day. People born on this day. Is it Barney's birthday? Are we hearing it's Barney's birthday? If it's Barney's birthday, this is a big day here. I didn't know it was Barney's birthday. We're friends on Facebook. I didn't look at my birthdays on Facebook today. I don't do that every day. Anyway, let's talk about people who died. People who died, not people who were born onto this plane of existence. Let's talk about those who've left it. Dead on this day, we're going to decide if they went to heaven or hell. Dead on this day in 1991. How about Michael Landon? Michael Landon. See, I was raised in the era of Michael Landon. The era of Michael Landon came to an ending very quickly. And what do I mean by the era of Michael Landon? When I was very little, Michael Landon was like one of the biggest stars in the world. Little House on the Prairie. That was like, I know there was other things going on. Like I know like Scorsese was making Mean Streets and shit like that. But I was a kid. So I was only exposed to the shit like the Waltons and Little House on the Prairie. He was a huge star, Michael Walden, big star. And then I guess to like a different generation, he was a big star going all the way back to the 1950s. Because I guess he was like, I'm a teenage werewolf. Like he was a teen star. And then he went Little House on the Prairie. He was a big star there. Then he did like Highway to Heaven. Was that him? Was that Michael Landon? Whatever. He was like, he's going to heaven because there was like no bad stuff about him. He was seen as like the most wholesome, the best that Hollywood could be for a God-fearing Christian tax-paying audience. That's who Michael Landon was. So we're putting him in heaven. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. That was his rep. I don't care enough to really find out more about him to uncover some stones. So I think he wet his bed. I think there was a movie. There you go. That's like the worst thing you can say, I guess, about Michael Landon. He was a bedwetter. There was a movie that he produced, maybe wrote and directed too. It was a TV movie about a teenage cross-country runner who wet his bed and how he was tortured by the way he was humiliated by bedwetting. That was Michael Landon. It was based on him. It was his story. He wrote it. He directed. He didn't star in it because he was like 40 by this point. But you know what I mean? I remember that. I remember there's a scene in that movie, and maybe this will jog some of your memories because it was a big movie for Gen X. I don't remember what it was called. But there was a scene where the kid, young Michael Landon, is coming home from school, and the school bus stops in front of the house, and his mom has taken all of his piss-stained sheets, and she's hanging them out the window of the house. So that as the school bus pulls up, every kid sees that he pisses the bed. And his mom did it on purpose. Happy birthday. Or no, happy death day, Michael Landon. You're going to heaven. There you go. That's mean. Your mom was mean. Dead on this day in 1995, Wolfman Jack. God, I love Wolfman Jack. I met the Wolfman once. Well, didn't meet him. Talked to him on the phone. That was cool. That was enough for me. And then he died shortly after that, I remember. I'm like, Wolfman Jack was a border blaster icon of American radio. What's a border blaster? A border blaster is a radio station that existed just across the border in Mexico, which meant that it was free of all limitations of how powerful the signal could be. It was like a pirate radio station that the federal government couldn't do anything about. And in the case of Wolfman Jack, XFM, I think that was his station there. It was a Tijuana border blaster. So essentially, he was blasting to Southern California. He was there in Mexico. No rules there in Mexico for it. No government rules. And he was able to basically blast his signal on that border blaster all over the country. He became an instant success in the rock and roll era. Bob Smith is Wolfman Jack's real name. I think Robert Smith. Yeah, just like the Cure guy. That's it. Bob Smith. Wolfman Jack. That's why he changed. He's like, it's so much cooler than Bob Smith. Yes, it is. I don't know. Wolfman Jack was cool, man. He was just cool. He was a character. His character was cool. He was sort of rebellious. There's a great story. I read his biography when I was very young. And there's a great story about the Mexican government. God, these political calls. Jeez Louise. The Mexican government was finally pressured enough by the American government to shut this down. Why? Because Los Angeles and San Diego radio stations were like, they're stealing our audio, that whole thing. And Los Angeles and San Diego radio stations through the federal government got the Mexican government involved. And the Mexican government actually, what do they call it? Laid siege to the radio station there. And there's this great story about how Wolfman Jack was broadcasting rock and roll while all these Mexican army troops were arranging outside and getting ready to attack the station. He's going to heaven. I'm putting Wolfman Jack in heaven. You got the Wolfman, baby. He was the best. at doing rock and roll radio. Wolfman Jack. Dead on this day in 1995. Dead on this day in 2000. Just the other day, right? Just the other day, we were talking about Jack Lemmon. I think it was Friday. Friday was the anniversary of Jack Lemmon, the great Jack Lemmon dying. Today's the anniversary in 2000 of the great Walter Matthau dying. I'm putting Walter Matthau in heaven. I like him. If ever there was an actor who looked like a dog, it's him, and it's a basset hound. He looks just like a basset hound, Walter Matthau. He was Oscar Madison, but he's more than that. I mean, I know that's the Odd Couple movie, but Grumpy Old Men, right? Didn't he have a nice run in the 90s? Him and Jack Lemmon with Grumpy Old Men, they brought that back. They were great together as a team. Walter Matthau was amazing individually. The thing about Walter Matthau is that we all think of him because of his 80s and 90s and 70s stuff. We think of him as a comedic actor. He wasn't. Walter Matthau was a great dramatic actor in the 1950s and the 1960s. He switched. Once he teamed up with Jack Lemmon, they started doing silly stuff. But man, he was a great actor. Walter Matthau, we're putting him in heaven. Here's another great actor. We're not putting in heaven. We're putting this guy in hell because this guy is in hell. And he's probably, I don't know, would the devil put up with him? Would he think I think this guy thinks he could challenge the devil to what he wants. He's dead on this day and he's in hell. The great Marlon Brando. See, he gets the applause for that because he's great, but he's going to hell. Brando was insane, man. Brando couldn't exist in 2024. If Brando was a 30-year-old actor in 2024, my God, acts, lives like Brando, that dude who plays the Flash. Remember that guy? Ethan, whatever, that dude, he got arrested like 5 times doing all kinds of crazy shit. That's how Marlon Brando used to live. Brando was nuts. And then once he cleaned up his street image, because he was kind of a troublemaker in his younger days. Once he cleaned up his street image, then he became this real serious actor. And then he was the biggest jerk on the set in the history of Hollywood. He was so difficult. Marlon Brando made everybody's life hell. So he's going to hell. Dead on this day in 2004, Marlon Brando. Dead on this day in 2005, Luther Vandross, inventor of the baby, whoa, whoa style of music. I hate that style of music, but I recognize that I should not decide what is and what isn't beautiful music. So he's going to heaven because Luther Vandross was fat, then he was thin, and all the while he wrote love songs that people, I bet there's entire generations of babies that were born, conceived, as you say, conceived, not born, conceived to Luther Vandross. A baby wouldn't be born to Luther Vandross. A baby would be conceived to Luther Vandross. We all know all babies must be born to Welcome to the Jungle, cranking it full volume in the delivery room. All babies should be welcomed to life with, you know where you are. That's how it should start. But Luther Vandross, maybe some Marvin Gaye, some Barry White, some Usher. I don't know, for the kids out there. I don't know who the kids are making out to. Harry Styles. Really? Harry Styles? Not in the same league as Luther. I'm sorry. Dead on this day in 2005. And where'd we put him? Heaven. Yeah, that's right. Put Luther Vandross in heaven. Just because I wasn't into him doesn't mean that he didn't make other people happy. Dead on this day in 2009. This will be the last one. Dead on this day, 2009. Karl Malden. On the waterfront, Karl Malden. Streets of San Francisco, Karl Malden. Patton. He played General Omar Bradley, Karl Malden. And American Express commercials. And in the 70s, Karl Malden was like the first TV pitchman for American Express commercials. And I don't know, do you remember those commercials? Weren't those weird by today's sort of understanding of celebrity endorsement of commercials? If you remember the Karl Malden commercials for American Express in the 70s, it was tagged with the line, "Don't leave home without it." And it was always, Karl Malden dressed like a New York City homicide detective. Like, this is what I don't understand by today. So you got a movie star who's endorsing you, yet you're going to play him like he's a detective? You've got a movie star. It's Carl. It should be, "Hi, I'm Karl Malden, and I travel the globe." That's what the ad should be. It shouldn't be Carl. All right, Carl, we're gonna have you pretend to be like some kind of a detective, and your tagline is gonna be, "Don't leave home without." It was just stupid. Yeah, just missed it. It was weird. It was odd to me. I'm like, is he supposed to be Carl Malden? Like, does he say at some point? Yeah, I think it is. I think on the card, that was the point. On the card, it goes like at the end, and it says the name on the card, and it says Carl Malden. I'm like, everybody knows who Carl Malden is. Where are we putting him? We'll put him in heaven. I don't care. You know what? We're going to put him in heaven. Here's why. This man had an absurdly reckless nose. I don't know if you have ever seen Carl Malden's nose. I don't know what happened with that. Like, okay, so they're called gin blossoms. Like sometimes people have, it has to do, I have a little bit of it. I don't know if you can see it. Happens a lot with Irish people, and also that's why it's a drinker's nose. No, it's not. I don't drink to excess, and I have it too. It has to do with blood flow to the brain and skin tone. And when your skin is very, very lucid or very like Irish people, our skin is like Scotch tape sometimes. So the nose, I guess the nose is a lot thinner. So when blood, as you age, the blood tracks start to become more predominant in the, anyway, it's an Irish or light-skinned person thing, not a drinker thing. But anyway, Carl Malden had where he had like W.C. Fields caliber gin blossom on his nose, and it was terrible. And it's like, I think now you could have that worked on, but I think it became a part of his thing that you were supposed to be shocked by how horrid his appearance was. You can't live that way. You go to heaven. You go to heaven. Forced to walk around with a Carl Malden nose. All right, that's going to do it. That is the first 3 quarters of today's show. We're going to run through all the day's hot topics now. I'd like to remind you that this show is executive produced by the great Mike D. Thank you so much. Mike D was the big tipper over the weekend, the big tipper of today's show, as we're in push week, but I can't. I just can't. If you'd like to tip the show, there you go. I'm going to leave that up. Cash App. I'm going to regret being so not caring about the money aspects of it. I'm going to pay for that. Let's talk about all the hot topics and everything that is happening in the world today. What are we at? Of course, we're at a commercial in CNN. I was going to glance back quickly and see what they're calling the number one story of the day. I know what the number one story of the day is, and we got to talk about this. But first, I need a drink. And also, although I claim that this show, a big part of this show is that it's an uninterrupted stream of consciousness where I just start talking at 12 about the news and events of the day and then stop when we're done. That's the conceit of the show. That's what we try to make it every day. However, today, as I told you, my kid is downstairs. So, I'm going to, at some point today, I think I'm going to take a quick break, maybe for like 30 seconds. I'm going to run down there. I'm going to freshen my drink as I'm wont to do and just see if he's all right. Just so please be ready for that. That'll probably happen here in a couple minutes since we're about halfway through the show. Let's get into the big news story of the day. Okay, we're still waiting on I just want to see what CNN's latest headline is, because their headlines have not really matched what I'm interpreting and what I'm reading elsewhere. But whatever, CNN, hey, the only reason CNN is on behind me is because I refuse to watch MSNBC or Fox. It's the happy medium. And quite frankly, during the regular hours, what I watch late at night? I watch morning Sky News. I watch breakfast shows from England late at night because of the time difference. When I'm going to bed, they're doing their like Today Show or whatever, and I watch that. And then when I wake up, I have the Sky News on. I watch Sky News. I don't like the I don't like the partisanship of American news sources. I loved that. Any of you guys see the breakdown of the debate on Sky News? It was so great. Of course you didn't, because you're not weird like me, but I did. It was great. It was people who don't have any horse in that race. It was people who are not just going to make excuses for the right or excuses for the left. It was just people looking at the madness going, yeah, both of these people suck. And of course, if you know me, I love that attitude. There was no making excuses for either one of these guys. I mean, it was all just, what the hell did we just watch? What is happening in America? Yeah, well, you know what? I would say this to our British brothers. You got a crazy election coming up, and you got that Nigel Farage guy about to be the leader of your country. So I would shut up. I would shut up about us. You got a crazy dude over there as well. All right, so here's the deal. Here's the big deal. We've been waiting all last week. We thought it was supposed to go down at the end of last week because, you know, the Supreme Court likes to get out to the lake and water ski. So we thought the Supreme Court was going to end everything, we had hoped, by Friday of last week. That became clear late Thursday that we were going to roll into July and there were going to be some pretty big Supreme Court decisions ruled on into July, which is rare. So that's today. I think they're done now, right? All right, so there you have it. All right, they have changed their headline. Okay, CNN has changed their headline. I don't know if you see it before, but this is the big ruling that we were all waiting for. This is the ruling that I believe they were ready to do before the debate on Thursday, but they didn't want to release it. Remember, there was talk of we don't want this ruling to influence tonight's debate. All I can tell you is after seeing that debate, this wouldn't have changed anything. This would not have changed anything. That debate, oh my goodness. So here's what they ruled. Here's the issue at hand. What immunity? President Trump says that all these charges that they're coming after him for, all of these charges, they all fall under what he believed to be presidential immunity. He made the argument that the president's got to be able to do the job of serving the people of the United States without the specter of, some some sort of decision that's ostensibly in the best interest of the American people. Some decision he makes is somehow going to come back to haunt him and he's going to end up, facing charges. That was the argument he made. And that's a legitimate argument. The president of the United States cannot rule, that's the wrong word. President of the United States cannot do the job. How about that? Cannot do the job if he's worried about, well, quite frankly, what we just saw happen in Israel. Right? Netanyahu was brought up on charges by the International Criminal Court for what he claims is the defense of the Jewish people, which would arguably fall under the description of an official act of the prime minister. Okay? So I don't know. So that's very complicated. That's a different set of circumstances. Trump is facing charges for a whole bunch of things. We're not going to get into the weeds on those because I don't care. And you can find that. You already know all the stuff he's being accused of. He said I should be immune from that. And that was the question that was facing the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court had to decide, what? The Supreme Court decided, here, I'm going to get this right for you. Here's what they said. Exactly. Because it's very interesting. And, both sides are claiming victory. The Trump campaign is really claiming victory, and they should to a certain extent, but don't be misled by what the Supreme Court did today. What the Supreme Court did today was ostensibly what they've been doing on a lot of these kinds of issues, which is they're kicking it back. They made a ruling on I'm going to read it to you, okay? The Supreme Court of the United States has ruled that presidents, including Trump, because this case concerns him when he was president. Supreme Court has ruled that presidents have, courts have ruled that Trump/presidents have/has immunity from official acts while in office. The president of the United States has absolute immunity for core constitutional powers. SCOTUS also says that the lower court must decide which acts Trump is being accused of are official and which are not. Okay. That's the question now. So the Supreme Court didn't settle anything. Now we've just got a question of, well, what is an official presidential act and what is not an official act that falls under what the president is supposed to be doing? So that's the debate. I think this is a smart ruling. I think that it does have to be hashed out now at the lower court before coming back again. You've got to decide what an official act is and what an unofficial act is. Just saying president has immunity, no, he doesn't, is far too vague an argument. That's not an argument that is specific enough for the Supreme Court to issue precedent on. So they did what they do. They were like, okay, look, here's the deal. Everybody calm down. Here's what they said. And I'm going to meatball it for you. This is how, if I was on the Supreme Court, I'd have said it. Obviously, whoever wrote the decision, they were better than me. Here's what it is. It said, okay, everybody, hold on. So here's what we're ruling. President of the United States has to have immunity for acts that he commits in the official capacity of commander-in-chief of the military and all of this stuff. And I absolutely agree with that. Have always agreed with that, which is why it's kind of troubling with the Netanyahu thing, because that argument could fall for him. That all of these so-called atrocities that Netanyahu and Israel is being accused of by the International Criminal Court could very well fall under the thing of, I was leader of this country, we're at war, this is what we did, I was doing it in defense of my people. I mean, that argument could fly. Bad decisions by a leader cannot be criminalized. Intentionally bad decisions, again, now you got intentionally bad decisions. You do something intentionally that ends up being bad, and that's clear cut, then yeah, that's obvious a thing. But we can't start throwing world leaders into jail because they were bad at their job, which might be a defense that Netanyahu would use in the International Criminal Court, that there was no malintent here. I wasn't slaughtering people. I was defending Israel from all of the barbarians who surround her. That's the argument. Okay, so I believe in that argument. Because this argument here, what the Supreme Court ruled on, says that Barack Obama is never going to be charged for his drone wars. Remember that? We keep hearing that. George Bush is never going to be charged for the things that he did during the initial, war in Iraq. Good, man. War is hell. Presidents have to do bullshit like that. And they shouldn't have to worry about making a decision that is life and death for troops or the sovereignty of our nation. They shouldn't have the specter of, well, if I make the wrong decision here, I'll go to jail in 4 years. That's bullshit. That cannot stand. And that is exactly what the United States Supreme Court said today. President of the United States must have immunity for official acts. Now, whether or not these acts, and this is what Justice Roberts said. Justice Roberts asserts Trump asserts far broader immunity than the limited one we have recognized. Okay? So this is why this is not a win for either side. It's a win for the American people. If you believe that the president of the United States, I mean, what if we get into like a nuclear war in 50 years with somebody, a president who uses a nuke? Is then suddenly when the dust settles, literally, he's then going to be like putting handcuffs and be like, you can't do that. Presidents have to have some kind of immunity for the decisions they make while in an official capacity as president of the United States. That's just a fact. Now, what is the difference between official jobs, things that fall under the official description of president, things that are not official? Like, okay, so here's the question. So let's use the Obama example again. Has the Supreme Court said that Obama can be tried for criminal acts related to drone campaigns during his first administration? Supreme Court has said no, because that's the official capacity of the president of the United States. He can't be charged that. Now, if the question was, can Barack Obama be charged because one night while he was president, he broke out of the White House, went to a liquor store and held the guy at gunpoint and stole a bunch of lottery tickets? Can the president be? Yes! That is still the kind of crime that a sitting president can be charged with. And that makes sense. This is a common sense ruling that we've gotten here. Don't be mad. Don't be angry. Nobody reasonable should be mad or angry about this. The most disheartening thing that they did was they said, look, this isn't specific enough. Yes, the president should have immunity for official acts. But what are official acts? Is robbing a liquor store an act that falls under president? No. So there are a whole bunch of other crimes out there. And Roberts went out of his way to say that Trump asserts far broader immunity. He's claiming far broader immunity than what the Supreme Court, have just ruled on. So we have to see it's being kicked back. We are no further down the road than we were before this ruling, other than the fact that we now know that the Supreme Court of the United States makes a distinction between official presidential acts and non-official presidential acts. Thank you. That's my breakdown of the Supreme Court's ruling. We don't know anything. This isn't anything. So calm down. Like the question remains, it is the same question. Is the phone call to the Georgia Secretary of State Ratzenberger, is that an official act? Or does that fall outside the official act? The documents, is that an official act? Or does that fall outside? So now these have to be kicked back to those courtrooms, and those courtrooms have to decide what is and what isn't an official act. And God knows how long that will take. All we know about this is that it almost ensures now, this decision from the Supreme Court, it almost ensures that there will be no conclusion to Trump criminal cases, the ones in Atlanta, the document cases. These will not be adjudicated before the election. So there's that. Whatever that means, I don't know. I guess the people who hate Trump, they're like, oh, pearl clutching, because they think he's going to come into office and on day one go, I'm a king now and we're getting rid of it. I don't know if that's real. I think it would be complicated if he was president and then he had to stand trial and all that, but I don't know how you avoid it. And if he doesn't win election, well, it'll just be on trial in February or whatever. I mean, they'll just do it that way. I don't. But what Supreme Court did today was they officially made a distinction. They said, look, there's a difference between immunity when we're discussing the president of the United States. There is official job capacity, and then there is things that, are not in your official job as president of the United States. So that's what the Supreme Court is doing. Big headline. Supreme Court says presidents and former presidents are entitled to some immunity. It'll be the lower courts who have to decide what that distinction truly is. All right, let's talk about the weather. We got weather. What is it hot today? It was actually kind of nice. When I took the dog out for a walk today, I was surprised this morning. We went out about 7:45. Let's see, what do we got here? Okay, so this morning when we went out, the last time I did it, it was 84 degrees. It was nice this morning. Okay, it's 98 now. Screw that. Never mind. 98 with extreme UV today. Feels like with humidity 104. All right, never mind. Today sucks. But here's what we got. We got a situation. We got this they're scaring us. They're scaring us with weather again, folks. We've got this Hurricane Beryl. Have you heard about it? Ripping through the Caribbean. Or do you say Caribbean? I like to say Caribbean. Hurricane Beryl. Here's what's interesting about Beryl. In 12 hours, it went from a tropical storm to a Category 4. Apparently, record warm waters has caused this hurricane to explode into a massive hurricane in just a matter of half a day. It's off the coast of Venezuela right now. It's going to rip the crap out of Turks and Caicos and, a bunch of stuff. Places in that area. Looks like it might cross over Cuba. I don't know what the landfall expectation is for the United States. The tracking maps that I saw, it looks like it drops down. Once it passes Cuba, it's going to drop down to a 2, and it seems to drop down into a 1. And I don't know. I couldn't tell. Does it go into the Gulf? Are we talking about this thing? Is it heading towards New Orleans, right? Is it like a Western Gulf of Mexico kind of thing that's going to curve that way? Or are we going to skip right over Cuba? We're going to go across the Keys, and are we going to sort of just clip the Atlantic coast of Florida? I don't know. We'll see. But it's a big one. It's a big one. They said it was the fastest forming hurricane since they started tracking this stuff. So they don't know. Basically, here's what they're saying. It's a hurricane. It's a big hurricane, and it came out of nowhere, and we don't know what the hell's going on with this thing. So buckle up. That's what they're saying about Hurricane Beryl. Beryl is a Category 4. Record water temps in the Caribbean have caused it to go from a tropical storm to a Category 4 in 12 hours, the fastest Category 4 from tropical storm in history. There you have. So we've got that. All right, now let's talk about some other things that are fun. So this whole weekend, Biden went to Camp David. Camp David is the lake house of the president, if you will, except I don't know if there's a lake. I'm sure there's a lake. I'm sure there's a lake at Camp David somewhere, but it's not like water ski. It's not like, what I mean? It's like in the woods. Camp David is cool. The concept of it is cool. It's like the middle of the woods up there in Virginia or Maryland, or I don't know. It's a hodgepodge where states meet. I'm not even sure what state it's in. I think it's Virginia. But right there in the woods, there's like this really kick-ass resort, but it's only for one person, and that's the President of the United States. Camp David, named after David Eisenhower, son of Dwight David Eisenhower. So Biden went to Camp David for the weekend with his whole family. The whole Biden clan got together there, and they hung out. And the story was that they were going to seriously contemplate what happened on Thursday night. Everybody worth their salt. I'm sorry. If you are somebody who is a Biden water carrier, and you're still going, I think just one bad night is something that we can all overcome. They keep saying that. They're like, just one bad. Dude, this wasn't like a misstep at the Friars Club in Columbus, okay? This was not that. This was the one time America is going to get to see these two guys. I know there's supposedly another one. I don't know if that's going to happen. I wasn't even sure this one was going to happen. Glad it did, because this was really revealing. It's not just one bad night, so stop that. But anyway, all the real Democratic strategists and pundits who aren't delusional and who aren't remember what my big problem with Democrats are? Democrats and liberals in general drives me insane that they seem to be the only group of people who find some sort of glory. And it's a narcissistic personal glory. It is not a shared glory. Nobody else thinks it's great. But it's liberals are the only people who believe falling on their own sword and losing valiantly has some kind of worth. There is no economy of being the righteous loser. That's not a thing that America does, but the Democrats do it all the time. They do it all the fucking time. The biggest example, and the one that was the most mind-numbing to me, was Al Franken. What Al Franken did and what Al Franken gave up is absolutely absurd. And it's only happened because Al Franken is one of these guys who believes in always being an example publicly when the cameras are on of doing the right thing. And I will step down and I will take this personal shame for the greater glory of this country. That's the kind of bullshit that they think. And then nobody is going, oh, he's so brave. Oh, he's so good. No, what you've done is you've neutered yourself, stupid. Now you've given yourself absolutely no power. You've taken yourself out. He was a powerful senator, and he did it for a stupid reason. I hate it. And the libs do that all the time. I'm going to fall on your sword. The right thing for Biden to do in this particular case could check both those boxes for libs. They love a guy who falls on his sword. And it's also, in this case, the right thing. Biden should be out there. He should hold a press conference, and he should do what Johnson did. I will not seek, nor will I accept the nomination of my party at the 2024. That's what Biden needs to do. He needs to give the Johnson speech. That would be the right thing to do. Check that box. And also, in this very weird situation, it would be the liberal allowing himself to fall on his sword and do the right thing, not for me, but for you. Oh, shut up. So now would be the time to do that. But guess what? That ain't happening. Apparently, this is the moment that the libs have decided that they're going to stand firm, because apparently the Biden family did nothing but codify old Joe's resolve to keep the fight going. Holy shit. Because, and here's how that theory also comes back to bite you in the ass. Because Joe will frame it like it's I will do this for us. I will do this because we don't quit. We keep going. He'll play that whole thing. We're not quitters. No, you should be a quitter. You should be a quitter, because in November, your entire party is going to be absolutely decimated. Ugh. Just rocked because of you. Because you won't get out of the way. Whatever. Screw them. Look, at this point, I don't even know who they'd get. I don't know. Everybody's like, anybody else would destroy Trump. You hear these idiots saying this. Anybody else but Biden would destroy Trump. Last time Biden ran. Remember, Biden's whole reason for running last time was, I'm the only guy who can beat him. Didn't Bill Maher say this weekend? I think I saw a clip going around. Bill Maher said, yeah, isn't it ironic that now this year, you're the only one who can't beat him? And yet, here you are. I don't know if that's altogether true either. I don't know. It's just good. They could just grab anybody and they could beat Trump. You guys are, sound like a bunch of Hillary supporters on election night 2016 when you say stupid shit like that. Holy cow. All right, so there you go. So Biden is apparently, he's going to stay in the race because his family convinced him to. Now Jill's taking all kinds of strays. Jill Biden, there's whispers now that Jill doesn't want to give up power. Oh, stop it. Everything's not an episode of Dynasty, okay? So Jill is working behind the scenes. Right, okay, she's a real Joan Collins, isn't she? Shut up. fucking idiots. Everything needs to be stupid and relatable like TV. Is that what it is? Not antecedently, I'm sorry. Also today, new poll released. I was just talking about this. How everybody who is an honest broker, like even among the Dems or what centrists, whatever, 72% of the Democratic Party. Ladies and gentlemen, this is oh wait, I need to make sure because that's two different things that I was calling from. Okay, no, I'm sorry. This isn't the Democratic Party. This is 72% of just Americans. They didn't say what party they're affiliated with. What? 72%. 72% of Americans want Joe Biden out. 72% want Joe Biden out. Not the one that has all the criminal stuff, the one that just seems like, you got to hide the keys from the car. Grandpa, no, you can't go to the store. You haven't driven a car in 30 years. That's the one we want out. Which also, we should have that guy out. That guy should go out. 72%. All right, speaking of this, Sloppy Elton John went to jail today. That is, of course, my nickname for Steve Bannon. Dude looks like Sloppy Elton John. He looks like if Elton John didn't have any money and let himself go. That's what Steve Bannon looks like. And the irony there is that Steve Bannon has money. He just looks like a slob. I mean, it's just like, oh my God. And he's got Elton John. There's an Elton John vibe about him. Dude, if Steve Bannon wanted to go as Elton John for Halloween, he could get a makeup artist to make him look exactly like Elton John. That's all I'm saying. Sloppy Elton John, Steve Bannon. Apparently, has he reported to prison yet? He's going to prison today. 10 months, federal pen. Biden. Oh, there you go, right behind us. Biden family urges president to stay in the race. Good job, idiots. Good job. Oh, Biden family. Yeah, this is really upsetting. They should have been dad. Come on, we don't need this. You served a point. You can frame your legacy as president. Your whole narrative can be framed around the fact that you said you ran in 2016 because you were the guy that can beat him. And guess what, Dad? You did. You beat him. But you've been doing this a long time, and it's a young man's game now. And you know what? It ain't looking good. You need to step down. Where's that Biden? Where's that Biden kid who can say that to Dad? Instead, they're all like, we must hold on to power at all costs. Yeah, they're gonna lose electorally in the popular vote by 20 million votes now. Thanks. Thanks. I just want a contest. I just want a president that I can look. You know what? Here's what I want at this point. Here's what I'm thinking. Ready? Somebody I never heard of. Just, you know what? Just get Biden out of there and just somebody I've never heard of. Because at this point, I will vote for the person I know nothing about over either Biden or Trump. I'm ready to roll the dice. Let's go. It seems like we're doomed if either of those two win, so why not? Let's throw a wild card in there. Who's that? What do you do? My name is Jerry, and I'm a Walmart manager up in Wichita Falls, Texas, and I'm your new president. Okay, Jerry. All right, Jerry, have at it, man. Let's go. I would vote for Jerry from the Walmart in Wichita Falls over either or both of these guys. I don't even know Jerry. I don't know what Jerry's all about. Steve Bannon is going to prison. I didn't have anything to say about sloppy Elton John, so somehow I went back into my disgust with the current state of the presidential race. Here's some more breaking news from the sports world. Simone Biles. Simone Biles is heading back to the Olympics for the third time. Simone Biles. I know the name. I know she's a black girl. Like I've seen her because they brand her very well. But I wouldn't know her on the street. Like if I was if I was waiting at a bus stop with Simone Biles, I wouldn't know it was Simone Biles. It's an Olympic blind spot. I don't know that. I don't know the Olympic gymnasts. I don't know why. I don't know. Here's what I want to know. What I know about Simone Biles. I know that she's married to Chicago Bears safety Jonathan Owens. That's what I know. I know that I follow Bears, so I follow Jonathan Owens, and I know that I often see pictures of Simone Biles wearing Bears jerseys and stuff. So I like that. But That's all I know about Simone Biles. I have no clue. Anyways, going back to Paris, the Olympics are starting. Did you know the Olympics were starting? Like tomorrow? Seriously, like the Olympics are right around the corner. They're like getting ready to start. Nobody cares about the Olympics. The Olympics should just be fist fights, right? It's 2024. It should just be fist fights. It should just be held in like, okay, let's do this. Let's make do you have to make it Greek? No, fuck it. We don't care. Let's hold the Olympics every year in the Coliseum and have it just be like the toughest guy in America. No weight classes. This is just pound for pound. The toughest guy in America. He's got a fist fight like the toughest guy from Portugal. And that's what I want. That's what it should be, the Olympics. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about gymnastics. Please. Let's see what we care about. Also, throwing shit. That's how weird the Olympics is. There's like a sport. People actually tune in to watch people throw shit. They throw sticks and they throw plates and they throw balls. A shot put, that's a sport. Discus, you're just throwing shit. That's not a sport. Okay, all right, there you go. I don't know. The sports, they all just seem stupid. It should just be a fist fight. It should just be a Royal Rumble. Oh, that's it. There we go. How old would I have to be before I could ever get like a Royal Rumble Olympics where it's just every nation all at once in the ring just throwing out. One guy standing at the end. That's what the Olympics should be. That's how I fix the Olympics. As it stands, I don't care. I really don't care. What do I care? Is there anything Olympically that I care about? Yeah. I think I care about the sprints. I think that's it. I think the run fast guys. I think that's it. I think I'll watch the run fast guys, and that's pretty much it. The Usain Bolts. Those are real Olympians. That's something. All right. What else? Another big story here. We were just talking about Jonathan Owens and the Chicago Bears. Well, how about the NFL larger? Last week, we reported about the big, shocking lawsuit that the NFL lost. The NFL lost a big, giant lawsuit. It's over the Sunday ticket deal. So here's what happened. Here, I'm going to get to the story. I hate this. NFL Sunday ticket blowback and effects of massive ruling against NFL will change the way football operates for years to come. Basically, here's what happened if you weren't listening last week. So there was a class action suit against the NFL. It was an antitrust suit. The people who purchased the NFL Sunday ticket over the years had brought this class action suit saying that the NFL were operating in an untoward manner with the operation of the Sunday ticket and subscription service. And what was that untoward manner? Well, they said that there was so here's what they made you do. This is the problem. I'm trying to meatball the problem, so that's because there's a lot of legalese in it. But basically, problem is, take me. I'm a Chicago Bear fan living in Dallas, Texas. When I turn on the games on Sundays, I'm probably not going to get my Chicago Bears game, so I'm not going to see my Bears game. So I need an out-of-market game. So that's what I want. So now if I want to watch my Bears and I live in Dallas, I got to buy the Sunday ticket. Okay. And the Sunday ticket, by the way, absurdly expensive, like super expensive. But it ain't just that. It ain't just that I got to buy the Sunday ticket. I got to get direct TV. The only way that I can watch an out-of-market game, according to the NFL, is that I have to now spend like $300 a month on a full direct TV package, which will allow me access to then buy the upcharge of the Sunday ticket. That was deemed to be not right, and that is why they lost the case. Okay. Now, they used other sports leagues as an example of how they're doing it right. Like, for instance, the NHL. The NHL has their version of what would be a Sunday ticket where you could watch out-of-market games. But all you have to do for that is just join ESPN Plus. It's an app, and they throw in the hockey stuff. It's not like you have to have somebody come up and put a dish on your roof, charge you $300 a month for that, and an additional $300 for the no. So anyway, that's what they said. Now, how is this going to affect the NFL? Because there's a whole lot of domino things that are now going to fall because this is big money. Big money. They lost a $4.5 billion class action antitrust suit. That's what the NFL just took on the chin last Thursday. $4.5 million was the judgment. of course, we all know this. No, I didn't know this, but it's true. Because it's a federal antitrust suit, that $4.4 billion judgment is tripled. It's tripled. The NFL now owes like $17 billion in this case. Now, that's going to come down to the 32 individual teams to make up for it. Now, talking about a whole bunch of different ways that they're going to. Now, it's not going to be because of this. Like, it's not the payout. The payout isn't going to be what is going to hurt the bottom lines of your favorite NFL team. The payout is accounted for. They have like this kind of fund. They're prepared for this stuff. So the payout of the judgment is fine. It's not going to severely affect the league moving forward. What will is that they now have to do Sunday ticket differently, which means the revenue structure for their games is going to be halved. They were making so much money, the NFL, off of this bullshit Sunday ticket deal where they were getting kickbacks for people getting DirecTV and getting the subscription fee. That's what the government, that's what the judges in this case saw to be a violation of federal antitrust laws. So they're in trouble. So, and again, it ain't about the judgment. The judgment they're going to be able to handle. That's going to be just fine. They can prorate that over years. Everything will be good. How are they going to make up for now the lost revenue in the next TV deal that isn't going to be there? Because, see, the TV deals with the networks, Fox and ABC and all of that, everybody was in cahoots. The reason that, let me put it to you this way. Okay. They priced Sunday ticket so much, so expensive, that they basically were saying, well, only rich people are going to be able to afford this. And that's good, because on the local level, Jerry Jones doesn't get mad because all the poor people who would be tuning in to watch Cowboy games on Fox and giving him ratings for that, those poor people probably can't afford how expensive Sunday ticket is. So fuck them. That was another aspect of it. So, but there is now in the next television deal, or I don't even know if we're calling it television because with streaming and all of that, there is going to be a drop off in the money, because the money isn't going to be coming like YouTube just paid for Sunday ticket. That's no more. Although not YouTube, actually, I think they said that YouTube is going to be fine. It's a mess, is my point. And so now we're seeing all kinds of different people stepping forward with, well, there's going to be new streaming rights packages, and you're going to be a la carte is what I'm looking forward to. That is what it should have been. And that is what most of the people who brought this case against the NFL Network and DirecTV were saying. I just want to watch Bears games on Sunday. Why are you charging me like $1,000 between your equipment and, a la carte? So that's probably what we're going to end up seeing. I don't know how that works. No idea. But then again, if I knew how to make money, I wouldn't be doing this show. NFL Sunday ticket blowback. Hold on. Let me see this. I was just freeballing. I was just ranting on that, but maybe there's actually some real information that I just glossed over. Sunday ticket verdict won't affect the salary cap. Changes to Sunday ticket sure could. That's the problem. They're talking about having to make radical changes to the salary cap because of less money coming in on a year-to-year basis to teams. So they're not going to be able to pay what the salary cap. Every year we're used to the salary cap going up by a few million because the league is growing and growing. That's going to change now because of this. The salary cap may shrink. And here's one of the most shocking suggestions, which I don't know how I feel about it, but I understand why they're talking about it. It's been mentioned a salary cap exclusively for quarterbacks. Because quarterback salaries are getting insane and they are destroying franchises. If a franchise bets wrong on a quarterback and they guarantee him $100 million, and then that guy turns out to be, Mitch Trubisky. So that's interesting. I don't know how I feel about a cap for quarterbacks, because I'm very much, no. There's no cap for the billionaires and how much they can make off the team. Why should there be a cap for players who suddenly find themselves quite desirable? I'm not comfortable with that, but I do understand it. It says here, when it comes to the $4.6 billion verdict, which becomes $14.88 billion in the federal system, the NFL is on its own. None of the money comes from the revenue that is split between the league and the NFL Players Association. All of it comes from the money held in the coffers of the 32 franchises. Excuse me. That's going to come down to about 400 million each. So each team is going to have to at some point pony up about 400 million over the course of time, prorated over, and trust me, they'll find ways to make up for it, considering that each team is worth about 7 billion now. The bad news potentially is that any changes forced by the outcome of this case could, in theory, impact severely future revenues. Given that the league and the union share the cash from these TV deals, a reduction in the revenues here will hurt the players' salaries. Right. It's going to hurt the players' salaries because the owners of the team ain't going to give up that third yacht. But it's the players. Hey, when you own the game, I guess you make the rules. Anyway, that'll be interesting. The NFL and the money situation. I can't imagine, I follow the NFL pretty quickly. I truly can't imagine a situation where the NFL would lower the salary cap. They would almost have to give a team 2 years lead time on that. Like they would have to say, all right, we're going to continue this practice of increasing the salary cap from year to year until 2027. And then in 2027, we're going to drop it down. You got to give teams, because there's no way. Teams will go absolutely bankrupt. Teams will be completely under the salary cap. They'll be fielding like 10 players. If all of a sudden they go, yeah, next year the cap is going to be 50 million less. Say goodbye to your defense. So I don't know. I've become a salary cap guy. My team, the Bears, we were blessed the last couple of off seasons with having more salary cap than any other team, and now we're down. We've blown it all, and that's good. We're fine with it. But now we're down. We still need an edge rusher, and I think we got about 23 million left ostensibly. And although that's a lot, we don't want to spend more than say 10 million on an edge rusher. Maybe we'll get a 1-year deal for a guy for 5 million. We'll do that. But we might need to sign people, in 9 months. So we're going to need some money. You need to have money in your salary cap. You can't blow your salary cap before training camp even starts. You know what? I'm not going to stop the show so that I can now fulfill my own urge to know exactly where my Bears salary cap sits at the moment. 12 million or 20 million. I don't know. Whatever. Did we sign somebody recently? Who knows? Let's talk about this. Here's another subject. In Florida, Ron DeSantis, because he could. Ron DeSantis signed a bill that makes it illegal. Isn't Ron DeSantis was American freedom and nobody, these cancel culture? All this dude does is fucking cancel shit. All this dude does is he canceled. He made a law and signed it into law. A law in Florida that Florida cannot develop or sell it now or in the future any kind of lab-grown meats. All right. Now, what is your first lab-grown? Look, my first response to hearing lab-grown meats is nope, no thanks. But hey, I understand the importance of this kind of technology, this kind of progress. You kidding me? We can feed people with shit that we can create in a lab instead of having to utilize all of this acreage for grazing and all of this shit. Whatever. You're telling me you could feed? You think somebody starving in Somalia is going to turn their nose up at a lab-grown chicken nugget? Fuck no, man. Why would you impede this? Anything that we know as human beings that we need clean air, we need drinking water, and we need sustenance. We need food. Those are the three basics. Why the fuck would you go out of your way to say, nah, we're not going to get any better at making food. We're done. Because he's pandering, because he's not a real politician. Well, actually, he's not a real leader. He's a politician, and that's what pandering does. Because the first response to the idea of lab-grown meat is ew, right? That must be a liberal thing, and that's what this whole thing's about. So anyway, Florida's got a law now. You can't have any lab-grown meat. Oh, shut the fuck up. What if I'm a Floridian who likes lab-grown meat? Why are you telling me I can't have it? Because it's weird. Because it's like hippie liberal stuff or whatever. I don't know what connection they're making to this, but okay. So Florida has by the way, there's another state that also just passed the no lab-grown meat law, Alabama. So Florida and Alabama are the two that are like, we don't think we need to know more about food. We don't need no food progress. These fucking people. All right, so Florida, this ban goes into effect on Friday. So apparently there's like these big companies all around the world who are very successful with this lab-grown meat shit. And so a big lab-grown meat company, they ended up, here, I'll tell you. What's the name of the company? I don't know. They held a big, giant tasting party in Miami as the sun sets on the legality of their product. They wanted to let everybody know, here's what it is. Why don't you come taste it? And a whole bunch of people showed up. Lab-grown meat maker hosts Miami tasting party as Florida ban goes into effect. As Florida's ban on lab-grown meat is set to go into effect, one manufacturer hosted a last hurrah with cultivated meat tasting parties in Miami. Let's see here. California-based Upside Food hosted dozens of guests Thursday evening at a rooftop reception in the city's Wynwood neighborhood, known for its street art, breweries, nightclubs, and trendy restaurants. This is delicious meat, Upside's Food CEO and founder Uma Valetti said. And we just fundamentally believe that people should have a choice to choose what they want to put on their plate, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so I agree with that. If you want to eat fucking lab-grown meat, I don't care. There's a business for that. This is a capitalist. What? Come on, man. This is America. You're telling me that I can't have a dream to create lab-grown chickens and turn them into nuggets and make $1 billion? Isn't that the American way? You're telling me I can't? Why? Because Ron DeSantis is like, liberals. Or what? How is this even liberal? I don't even get that. See what I mean? This is why I hate being where I am politically. I do not have the partisan lenses in place to be able to go, oh, here's why it's political. I don't see why this is political. People want to eat fucking new meat. Let them eat new meat. Let me tell you something. They've had these Impossible burgers or whatever the fuck these things are. These have been around for a good 10 years now. People buy them. People eat them. No idea what they taste like. Never tasted them. You know why? Because I don't want to. And that's fine. And I'm glad they exist. And I'm glad I have the right not to fucking eat them. But whatever. You know how much shit is in the grocery store that I never buy? And yet it's still fine that it exists? Why do people care? It's just the whole idea that the world is changing and that we can feed hungry people with food that isn't grazed on. You know, it's that whole attitude. That scares you? That you could feed. The bottom line is we got a lot of people on this planet. A lot of people are hungry, and a lot of people are going, oh, this is going to lead to Soylent Green. All right, whatever, but not tomorrow and not next week. Stop watching movies and being afraid of the actual world that you're living in because of something you saw in a movie. You're going to eat people. Oh, stop it. You guys ever seen Soylent Green? Soylent Green is people. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to spoil the movie for you, but why would anybody have a problem with this? And it's not vegan, right? Like people have a problem with vegans too, because that is like hippie liberal stuff. Oh, vegan, really? You don't eat meat? Oh, shut up. What do you care what people eat? What do you care who people fuck? What do you care? What do you care? Stop it. Stop being mean to weirdos. And look, as somebody who isn't, familiar with a lot of that's weird to me too. That's weird. You're a vegan. That's pretty weird. I don't care. It says here, the U.S. approved the sale of what is now being called cell-cultivated or cell-cultured meat. Those are fucking terrible names. That sounds awful. Let's see here. Meat, for the first time, they started allowing it in June of 2023, allowing Upside Foods and another California company, Good Meat, Inc., to sell cultivated chicken. Earlier this year, Florida and Alabama banned the sale of cultivated meat and seafood, which is grown from animal cells. Other states, and you know what this is? Here's what it is. People are freaking out about it. Let me ask you this. Do you know anybody who was an in vitro baby? Because that's what this is. That's fake meat. That's exactly what this is. It's the same kind of thing. They created meat from a cell in the same way that they create babies from, a test tube. It's the same damn thing. Except now we're doing it with meat that we can actually eat. Imagine if you could eat babies. We wouldn't. I mean, that's a terrible thing to think about. They're cute, but I bet they'd be delicious. That's not the point. Can't eat babies. But if we had to eat babies, we know how to make them. We know how to do the in vitro thing. So basically what they do with this lab grown meat is they take animal cells, like the cells of a chicken and all this kind of stuff. And then smart guys get together and they go, well, if this cell goes with this cell and at this point, and they just bypass all the bullshit. They bypass the feathers and the beak and they just create a chicken breast. It's a chicken breast. It is the way a real chicken breast becomes a chicken. It's the same thing. It's not, this tastes funny. No, it doesn't. Tastes like chicken breast. That's what people say. All right, so here's a taste test. Found this. Let's watch this. Let's see what it looks like. Lab-grown meat. We're all going to be eating it. I know right now in 2004, we're like, gross. You go DeSantis. I know that's a lot of our attitudes. We're going to eat this shit. First time you eat lab-grown meat, you're probably not even going to know you're eating lab-grown meat, and then you're going to be told you were eating lab-grown meat, and you're going to be like, oh, that was pretty good. I mean, I guess there's a problem with, like, you know, when you got like all these poor countries with like 1 billion people. I don't know what country I'm talking about that has 1 billion people, but you know what I'm saying? There's not like a whole lot of room for grazing and you don't have enough cows to feed all. So lab grown. This is how you do it. This is how you get them hamburgers. All right, where's the video? All right, here's a taste test. All right, let's watch this. Changing world. All right, here's a dude.
Your hands.
It's going to show us what lab-grown meat is like. All right, let's see this guy. All right, here we go. It's Joe. Let's see what Joe has to say. All right, Joe's going to eat some, we're going to get a look at some lab-grown meat. Again, this isn't Impossible Burger. This is not vegetable-based. This is animal-based. This is an animal. This is meat. This is a vegetarian would not eat this.
Hey, smart people. Joe here. I'm about to be one of the first people on Earth to eat real chicken grown entirely in a lab. That's right. We're talking the most futuristic.
Am I crazy, or does this dude kind of look like he was grown in a lab? Is it just me? This is an interesting-looking gentleman.
Nuggets ever. Through those doors, you won't find any real chickens, but you will find a state-of-the-art facility for growing actual meat using biological engineering, not.
I gotta be honest, this is all very unappetizing. Like, the way they talk about it is very unappetizing. I don't care. Don't tell me. Give me a lab-grown chicken sandwich for $1 off the dollar menu. And you know what? I'll scarf those down.
Not actual animals. The researchers developing this technology think that food like this, cultivated by science, is the way that we'll get many or most of the animal products that we eat in the future. But you're probably wondering one of two things. Why do we need this, and how does it taste?
All right, you know what? We don't need to watch this whole thing. We can fast forward right up to the taste test. That comes in over here at about 9:30. So let's watch now. Here we go.
Fried chicken sandwich is, you know, one of the pinnacle chicken items. So I'm pretty excited to.
All right, he's having a fried chicken sandwich. Let's get a look at this. All right, so this is what the patty looks like.
I'm here to put it to the test.
First one's actually going to be a fried chicken sandwich that we're going to do.
Fried chicken sandwich is, you know, one of the pinnacle chicken items.
Look at that. That looks pretty good. That looks like a chicken breast that you would get at, like, you know, a chicken restaurant.
So I'm pretty excited to taste this one. It looks totally normal. Here goes. Like, I want to give some incredibly scientific response to this, being a scientist, but like, it's a crunchy, normal piece of chicken. It's just striking me like how regular it is. Got the crunch on the outside, like it has like the flavor and juiciness inside. It's just chicken. It's really good. There's 2 halves here, Eric, but I don't know if you're gonna get the other one.
All right, there you go. That's all we need. That looked all right. It looked all right. Again, this isn't an Impossible Burger. If you've had an Impossible Burger and you've been like, I don't like them, they don't taste right, I can only imagine what that tastes like. No, an Impossible Burger is based on vegetables. This is based on the same thing. This is based on the chicken that you eat from the chicken that was in the yard, right? This is the same thing. So I don't know. I'm interested. It sounds very unappetizing, but I do think that I think this is important. I think it's important that we are able to create food. Dude, what happens when we go into space? What happens when look, I started rewatching Battlestar Galactica over the weekend. Yeah, I did. I know. I'm going to fall down that hole. I'll be watching Battlestar Galactica episodes for the next 3 months. Point is this. Yes, the only reason I'm taking this position on the lab-grown meat story of today is because over the weekend I started watching Battlestar Galactica, and I thought, boy, if I was stuck with the final 50,000 humans and we were all on ships flying around in outer space and we didn't know where we were going, we would probably like meat. And lab-grown meat, lab-grown chicken sandwiches would probably be good. So there you have it. Anyway, but still, the idiot politicians are like, "No, we got to stop this because it sounds bad and it sounds scary and it's something we don't understand." Dude, shut the fuck up. You don't understand it because you're an idiot. I don't understand it because I'm an idiot. But what I do understand is that there are hungry people on this planet, and we have forever struggled with a viable way to feed the hungry of this world. Unless it is you're staking out the position, fuck them. Because if that's what you're saying, fine. I don't subscribe to that. I think that we do have some sort of moral obligation to consider the lowest among us. That's just me. That's just me, the guy who's not faithful. That's just me, the guy who doesn't go to church. That's just me, the guy who hasn't chosen a religion. That's how I think, okay? I know I'm the bad guy because I don't get up on Sunday mornings and go to church. But hey, I think we have a moral obligation to continue to make life better for the absolute least among us. And that's why you don't make lab-grown meat illegal for stupid political points. Thank you. That's all I'm saying. That's weird. Yes, it's weird. The fucking world is weird. This whole world is weird. I can't explain half the shit I see. Just roll with it. Things are either a threat to you physically in the moment or they're not. And if they're not, just ignore it and go away. Just move on. Florida banned meat. What else do we have here? Oh, here's a cool idea. Check this out. People are mad about this. You guys rent cars? I don't. But if I did, I might try this place because I like it, because this is a funny idea. And people are mad. It's not a funny idea. It's progress. It's another look at progress. This is kind of bad progress, though. Maybe. I don't know. We'll have to work through this. There is a car rental place in Charlotte, North Carolina. Or is that South Carolina? I don't know. In Charlotte, there is a car rental place. It's called New Car, spelled N-U, car. Now, the U has an umlaut. It's fancy. New Car. New Car is essentially a tiny little room in a parking lot surrounded by cars that you can rent. It's like, I don't know, maybe it's like, remember Photomats? Remember like those places? Or the little Photomats where you used to go to get your photos developed? They were just little houses in the parking lot of the Kmart or wherever. If you were born in the 70s, you might remember those. So that's what it is. It's a tiny little structure in a parking lot. It's surrounded by a whole bunch of other cars you can rent. And what you do at New Car is you walk into this place, you open the door, and then you hit a screen. There's just a big screen. And you hit a screen, and the person who takes care of you isn't there. The person who handles your business is somewhere else. No more people at the counter, no more. Isn't that weird? I mean, I'm okay with it. I think that's kind of all right. Like, I imagine people are going to shit talk a lot. Like, I imagine, like, you know, like, certainly on the side of the customer, like the customer, when he's frustrated, he's gonna be like, you know, fuck you, you fuck. It's something they might not say if the person was actually there. Now, I don't know if this creates jobs just in a different region, or if this is another, you know, this big business taking away jobs from the middle class or low class, you know, because this car rental place, New Car, just a couple, you know, a year ago or whatever, it was a new place. It would be a business. And there would be people who went to work at that business, people who theoretically lived in the community, and they would go to that business and they would work in that business. But that's not what this is. Is this the future where a lot of these businesses that rely on clerks, rely on people, customer service, one-on-one, are these businesses now going to suddenly have some warehouse somewhere with 1,000 people in front of blue screens who will pop up when you walk into a, you know, Tulsa car dealership or whatever? Hi, can I sell you a car today? Is this the future? I don't know. Anyway, I think it's kind of a cool idea, but people are upset about it because people get upset about everything. Dog is going to drive me nuts. All right, let's keep going. Let's talk about some movies here. It was a big weekend for movies. The summer movie season kicks off, of course, the weekend before 4th of July, or as close to the 4th of July as possible. 4th of July falls on a Thursday this year. So they opened it this week. And it was Kevin Costner's big movie, Horizons, an American Saga. Kevin Costner sunk somewhat, some say $30, $40 million of his own money. It's been reported that he sunk into this movie. It's a Western. It's an epic Western. It is a 3-hour movie with a 3-hour sequel, part 2, with another 3-hour film and a 4th 3-hour film ready to go after the first one. So they shot the first 2. Like this one that opened over the weekend, Horizon, an American Saga, part 1, I guess, Horizon, American Saga, part 1, opened this weekend. Part 2 is going to open in like 2 weeks. Like it's already made. They're just ready to roll it out. They're going to see if that works. It bombed. It like completely bombed. Nobody wants to go to a movie and see a boring Kevin Costner Western in 2024. At least not the people who go to movies. People who go to movies are, here are the 2 classes of people who go to movies. Teenagers, and by teenagers, I mean people between the ages of 16 and 25. All right. Those are the people that go to movies. So you got them. And then you've got parents with little kids. That's the other group of people that actually go to the theaters now. Now, why do the younger people go to theaters? Because they still live at home and they need to get away from their parents. That's it. That's why those young people go to movies. Older people like me and people in their 30s and stuff, people who live alone in their homes, their own places, they don't go to movies anymore because when there's something really good that they want to watch, they know that it's going to be available on their 70-inch screen in their living room and they can watch it in their underwear. All right. So the market for movies, market for theater has shifted. It used to be everybody went to the movies, but no, now only specific people for specific reasons. So we had the big weekend kickoff. Number 1, no doubt, was what's that? The cartoon Inside Out. What is it? Inside Out? Inside Out 2. First one was amazing. This is the Amy Poehler cartoon for kids about the emotional apparatus and all of that. Teaches kids how to. I love the concept of the first one. The second one, I don't know. I'll see it. It's good. It's a good quality show. That shit is dominating. That shit is dominating at the box office. I didn't even come in the top 3. Was it 3? Quiet Place. Was it? I'm not even sure. I'm not even sure where Costner's movie came in. Costner's movie cost $65 million to make, and it made about $7 million. It says here. Right, so that ain't good. That is not good. Now, everybody knew Inside Out was going to be number 1 because the big release of a kid's movie, every parent over the weekend was going to take their kid and 10 of their friends to the movies. It was going to be a madhouse. So that we knew Inside Out was going to win. You can't beat a Pixar. You just can't. Unless you're an Avenger movie. Maybe an Avenger movie would have been able to take this down, but that's not what happens. So the race was really for second place. And second place was The Quiet Place. Quiet Place sequel. This is stars Lupita Nyong'o, and apparently it did massive business. And why? Because who goes to see The Quiet Place prequel? 19-year-olds. Bingo! And they packed the theaters Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night for A Quiet Place. You know what those people don't want to see? They don't want to see old man Kevin Costner on the back of a horse going, "We should treat the Indians better." Nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to see that anymore. There hasn't been a generation that grew up with a love of the Western in 40 years. The West, that's the boomer generation. Gen X, we didn't have the Western. We had the space Western. We had Star Wars and Star Trek and all that stuff. We didn't have any love for dudes on horses. Kevin Costner, he's like, people love Westerns. No, they not. Old people in the 60s loved Westerns. Ugh. So this is a huge bomb. I don't know why the other people in Hollywood weren't like, Kevin, what are you doing? This is what he left This is what he left Yellowstone for. So he walked away from Paramount. Kevin Costner was like doing nothing. He was doing nothing to the extent that Kevin Costner, Oscar winner, A-list Hollywood icon Kevin Costner, he was doing so little that he took a TV show on the Paramount network. Now that show became Yellowstone and he immediately became super powerful again. And what did Kevin Costner immediately do? He walked away from that and went, I'm going to blow all my money on a big Western because I know best about what people want. And guess what? Nobody wants to see your stupid Western. I will take a look at it. I will watch it. I will look, but I told you, man. I told you before when we were talking about this movie. Dances with Wolves sucks. Oh, how dare you? Oh, shut up and stop with your programming. People who've never seen Dances with Wolves. There are a lot of people who are like filmophiles. They haven't seen Dances with Wolves, but they know that the legacy and the narrative around it is that it's such a wonderful film. It's the first film that really made me think about the way we treated the Native American. That's how that's the programmed response to Dances with Wolves. Fuck you. That movie sucks. That movie is boring. That movie is preachy and heavy-handed and slow. Ugh. So that's what I'm afraid of with this Horizon. And I guess a lot of other people feel the same way. Let's talk here about A Quiet Place, Day One. A Quiet Place Day One is making noise at the box office. The prequel earned an estimated $53 million in its first weekend in North American theaters. It's both a franchise best and significantly more than expected. Going into the weekend, pre-release tracking had Quiet Place Day One pegged to do about $40 million this weekend. They did 53 instead. Oh, I'm sure they were super excited. You know who was super excited? You know who had a good weekend? You know who is behind A Quiet Place? I love this because I love this guy. The executive producer, writer, director of the first two Quiet Places and still the George Lucas and overseeing producer of this whole thing is John Krasinski. Jim from The Office is cashing all the Quiet Place checks. This is his. He's the George Lucas of the Quiet Place franchise. Jack Ryan from Amazon Prime. Anyway, I think that's cool. I have not seen any of the Quiet Place films, but I think I'm going to have to start seeing them. Didn't the first one get released on Netflix during the pandemic? Right? Isn't that the origin story of the first Quiet Place film during the pandemic? I don't know. I didn't see it. I never saw it. I will say this. My son saw Quiet Place Day One, the movie that we're just talking about here. My son saw it on Saturday night. Went with his mom. He saw it on Saturday night, and he called me immediately when it was over, and he said, A Quiet Place, the prequel, is so good, and that it's the best movie that he's seen in a long time, and that he thinks that Lupita Nyong'o may get an Oscar nod. He's like, that Lupita Nyong'o is so good. I'm like, I don't know if you get Oscar. Here's the thing. Lupita Nyong'o gets Oscar nods. Films like A Quiet Place typically don't get Oscar nods. So that's interesting. He says she's really good in it. Could a performance by an actress like Lupita Nyong'o, who is definitely on Oscar radar all the time, could a performance in a film like that? I don't know. It's interesting. All right, we're going to end things today with something that's kind of nice. This happened over the weekend. Did you see Michael J. Fox? He got together with Coldplay. Did you see this? Michael J. Fox, the Glastonbury Festival over there in Scotland, a yearly big European rock music festival. It was weekend, and apparently Michael J. Fox, who we all love, Marty McFly from the Back to the Future films, and of course Alex P. Keaton from Family Ties before that. He's been a whole bunch of things. We love Matthew. We love him. He's like gold standard of our Gen X celebrities, Michael J. Fox. He's got a bad situation. He's got, is it MS? He's got one of those terrible diseases that, we don't like to see anybody have to go through, but he's making the best of life, and he has been for like 25 years. He's been sick for like 25 years, right? We don't see him a whole lot. Michael J. Fox came out on stage with Coldplay at the Glastonbury Festival over the weekend, and it was kind of a nice moment. So I thought we could watch it. Here you go.
Wait, what? Well, here's another legendary Michael. One who just totally rocks with his Chuck Berry riff and the way he punched Biff. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Michael J. Fox. Let's roll. Go, Johnny, go, go, go. Go, Johnny, go, go, go. Hey, hey. The main reason why why we're in a band is because of watching Back to the Future. So thank you to our hero forever and one of the most amazing people on earth, Mr. Michael J. Fox. Thank you so much, Michael, our hero.
Oh, how about that? All right, wasn't that nice? See that documentary? They made a documentary a couple of months ago about Michael J. Fox, or he made a documentary about what his life is like. Oh God, I only got 20 minutes into it. I understand. I like him. I understand what he's going through. I saw 20 minutes of it and I was like, I don't need this in my life. Thankfully, I don't have this. He does. What a terrible thing to go through. I understand how awful this kind of thing is. I couldn't watch it though. I couldn't watch it. It was too much of a downer. There was this one scene, and I think it's gone viral. I think this was there's a scene where he walks out of his New York City apartment. And walk is a very generous way of describing what Michael J. Fox has to do these days. He comes out onto the sidewalk, and people are like, "Oh, hey, Michael J. Fox," and he's being, hi. And a girl walks up to him. Michael J. Fox. A girl walks up to him on the street and says, "Oh, Michael," and she goes to touch him, and he falls. He falls. He stumbles because you saw him. He's in a wheelchair. He stumbles and he falls and he's on the ground. He's literally on the sidewalk. And this poor girl, she just recognized him. She has no idea she didn't do anything. He just collapsed right there on the street in front of her. These people come running. Obviously, he's got some handlers and people who take care of him. They come running. They pick him up. And this dude, they picked him up. And his first concern was for that girl. Did you guys see this video? His first concern wasn't, I'm okay, and humiliation and to be lost inside of his own thing. No. His first concern while they're picking him up is, I hope she doesn't think she did this. And he makes them take a moment. He's like, look, we just had a moment. That was a thing that happened. He goes, but it wasn't because of you. You didn't do that. And it was just one of the most lovely bits of humanity. Something we don't see very often. Michael J. Fox fell. Anybody else would be like, oh, I fell. I'm embarrassed. Oh, whatever. I just want to escape from the situation. No. His reaction to falling was, okay, this is just part of who I am. This happens to me all the time. But there's a fan right there who likes me, and she probably feels really bad right now. I need to make sure she's okay. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. All right, you know what else is beautiful? That we had an executive producer today by the name of Mike D. Thank you so much, Mike D. He was our big tipper from the day before. If you want to support this kind of talk radio, the kind of talk radio that radio doesn't allow, I do not get into politics. I do not give a shit how you voted, right or left. It's all nonsense to me. We talk about the world like normal people. we just do common sense talk here. So if you like that and you want to support it, be like Mike D. Try to be tomorrow's executive producer. How do you do that? Well, you drop the biggest tip from this day. Tomorrow we're going to push. We're going to start the big push for the end of the month because, we need to make our money by the end of the month. So we'll do that tomorrow. I don't want to do it today. Today, I just want to tell you all that I love you. Have a great week. I'm going to go spend the rest of the day with my son. Have to go do a meeting for a little bit and then onward and upward. We'll see you tomorrow. Like, subscribe, follow, spread the word, share. You see anything floating around about this show, share it. Spread the word, bring a friend, all that stuff. This stream of consciousness I've been talking nonstop for over 2 hours now has to end. Oh, hey, wait a second. Postscript. I'd like to thank Adam. Adam, yeah, you're right. Bird Box. Bird Box was the thing I was thinking about. I was confusing that with The Quiet Place. I still haven't seen any of The Quiet Places. All right. Although they look good, and my son loves it.